And welcome back to my channel. If you are new to my channel, you're welcome, and do not forget to subscribe because you don't want to miss out on any of a tutorial anymore. So right now, today I'll be making a very short gown with a gathered sleeve, and trust me, it is so easy, and you need just 2 yards of fabric to make this. Looking at this, you will see my fabric is on fold. This will be for the front and this will be for the back. The first thing now is to determine the length of my gown or my dress. So here now I will just make it either 35 or 40 inches, but I will just go for 40 inches. First I will draw a straight line, which would be where my dress will stop. So this will be the end of the dress. This will be trimmed off. So the next thing is to, since I said I would go for 40 inches, I will just take my measuring tape and then place my 40 inches here. Can you see that? And since I will need 1 inch for the hemming allowance, so that will make it 41. So this is where it will stop, which is 40, and then 1 inch will be for the hemming allowance. Then I will bring my measuring tape up here and then mark a point here, then take it here also 41 inches and then mark it up here, and then I will make it into a straight line. So this will be the base for the dress. So the next thing now is to insert half of my armhole. So this will be going off, but because I would have to add my shoulder allowance, my shoulder sewing allowance, so I will leave it for now. So I will measure this way. First is half of my armhole. You should be familiar with that if you have been following my channel. So half of my armhole is 8.5 inches. I will go over to this side and also insert that. The next thing will be my waist. My waist is 16 inches, which is here. I will take it to the other side and insert 16 inches. My hip vertically is 24, which is here. And then I will take it to the other side and insert 24. And the next thing is to make them into a straight line. So I've made it into a straight line. So again, I will go over it, half of my armhole, my waist, my hip, and then where I want my dress to stop. So this is it 41, so everything is on track. The next thing is to start drafting. So what I will do now is insert the horizontal measurement. Quarter of my bust circumference is 10.5. I always had half an inch piece to it, or even you could do up to 1 inch depending on what you want. So this is where it stops, and don't forget your sewing allowance, 1 inch. Then I will go over to my waist. Quarter of my waist is 9 inches. But because I want it to be a free top, if you want to add a zipper at the back, I will just use 9 inches. But because I want it to be free, I will just put it all over my head to go easily. I'll just add extra 1 inch to it, which will make it 10. So this will be 10. And my sewing allowance, 1 inch. Then I will go over to my hip. Quarter of my hip is 11 inches. But I'll just add extra half an inch ease to make it more, a little bit freer. So I will have 11.5. The next thing is to add 1 inch seam allowance. And here, if you want it to be so free, what you have to do is to ignore this waist circumference measurement and just connect from your box down to your hip. It comes out really nice too. Then we'll go over to the hem of our dress. So you could see it is a short gown, so you won't have any problem walking at all. If it is above your knee, you won't have any problem at all, even if you use the same hip measurement here. But I'll just add extra 1 inch to it just to be a little bit freer. You could maintain this particular measurement here because it's a short gown and it's above your knee. But I will just add extra 1 inch to it, so that will make it 12. Because quarter of my hip is 11. Here I added half an inch, but here I'm adding extra. So the next thing now is to add 1 inch seam allowance. Can you see that? The next thing is to connect it all. So So this is the sewing allowance, and I will take my hip cuff. The tools are very much available in case you are interested. The hip cuff, in which I'm using right now, the pant cuff, in which you can use for the sleeve and for your trouser. It makes life easy. And also the armhole cuff, in which I have here. It's all available. I will put the contact number in the description box and also in the comment section below. So I haven't connected with my hip cuff, then I will take my ruler and then connect this way. And we are almost done. You see, that was pretty easy. So the next thing now is to go over to the armhole area. By now you should be familiar with the 3 inches, 8 inches standard. This is used to determine the shoulder slope. So then the 3 inches, 8 inches standard. Then I will come down by 1 inch here. And then connect with my ruler. Now we have our shoulder slope. The next thing now is to insert my shoulder measurement. My shoulder measurement is 8.5 inches, which is here. I will also insert it on the chest line, 8.5. Go into a straight line. If you think you are having difficulty understanding what I'm talking about, just watch my video on how to draft a basic bodice pattern and also how to take your body measurement. It is very, very easy. The next thing now is to take the midpoint here. So the midpoint will be whatever you get here divided by 2. From that point, I will go in 3/4 inch, which is here, and I will take my armhole. Everything is so fast because we have the right tools. All I have to do is to connect here and place it this way to connect. And we are almost done. Then from this place now, I'll just connect to the chest line, and this will be for the back armhole. And we are as good as done. Now is to determine the neckline we want for our dress. Remember, I said it's a free top and I don't want a zipper on my dress. So that means the neckline has to be wider than these 3 inches. Because if you are maintaining these 3 inches, let's say for instance you want 3 inches by 3 inches, there actually has to be a zipper. And how do you determine that? The back panel will be more by 1 inch. Just make sure it is 1 inch here. So that will be for the zipper allowance before cutting your fabric. But I want it to just be free without a zipper. So meaning within 30 minutes you can just make this dress for yourself. And some people find it difficult to fixing a zipper. So if you are among that, you can just make something like this. Although I've made series of video on how to fix that. So for the neckline, I will be making 4.5 or 5 inches here. So here, since I have 3 here, the remaining 1.5 will be here because I'm making 4.5. So 1.5 will be here. You see that? Then I will make it by 5 inches. I will make a V-neck. You could have a round neck depending on whatever you want. So this is for the front panel. I will just take my armhole cuff. It is a V-neck, but you don't want to just have it in a straight line. So you take your armhole cuff this way. Then cuff it this way. Can you see that? So can you see we have a beautiful V neck? And for the back, I will just come down by 1 inch. Take my armhole cuff and connect it this way. Yeah. So this is for the back and this is for the front. Do not forget to add your sewing allowance. So I will add 1/2 inch here. And then 1/2 inch here. I will connect a little. That will be the shoulder allowance. So the next thing now is to cut our fabric. I will start cutting from here. So remember, you have to cut the back neck first. And also the back armhole first. The next thing now is to notch the hip area. This helps you when you are sewing because this has to match for both the front and the back. Let me see that. After doing that, I will have to remove the back panel and then continue with the front. So I will finish up the neckline now. Then the front armhole, because the front is deeper. Then we go over to the sleeve. So this is for the front. Can you see the front? Very free ground. And we have a V-neck. So the back looks like this. This is the back. Can you see? This is the back. So before going over to the sleeve, all you have to do is just join your fabric at the shoulder. The ½ inch you want to the left, just join it here and here. After doing that, just finish the neckline with either a facing or a bias strip. So right now, let's go over to the sleeves. So right now, you need your basic sleeve. Like here, I have my basic sleeve. In case you don't know how to cut out your sleeve, I've made 2 detailed videos on this. So just try to search for it and just cut it out. So here now, I want my sleeve from where the gathered sleeve fabric will start from. I want it to be 10.5. So here I have 10.5. So it's actually 10, but I want ½ inch for the sewing allowance to attach it to this lower one. So what I will do is that I will trim off this excess. So now here I have 10.5. So it's actually 10, and then ½ inch will be for the sewing allowance. So now for the gathered fabric, I want it to be 6. So here I have 7. It's on fold, both for the right and left sleeve. So I want it to be 6, but here I have 7. So ½ inch for hemming it here and ½ inch for sewing it to the basic sleeve. And also right now, to determine the amount of fabric needed for the gathered fabric, what you do, what I will do is to just measure here. So here I have 7.5. Instead of just stressing yourself measuring your hand, just go over to your fabric, measure whatever you have at the sleeve opening. I have 7.5. So coming here, I have 7.5. So my 7.5 stops here. So it depends on how much volume you want. You could double it or even multiply it by 2.5 while on fold. Remember, we measured this on fold. So this is also on fold. Or the minimum you could have to it is like 4 inches. So I don't want it to be too much because of the weight of my fabric. So I just added extra 6 inches. Can you see that? So I added extra 6 inches. It's on fold. So if you want it to be more, just make it ×2. So instead of having 7.5, you have 15. If you want it to multiply by 2.5, you could have more than that. So that is just it on it. So what do you do? I will show you how to make the sleeve. All I have to do is to take this to my sewing machine and just make a straight stitch with the longest stitch on your sewing machine to be able to gather it. So right now we'll be working with one of the sleeves. So I will take this lower fabric in which I want to gather and then hem the lower part. Remember, we already let the allowance. So I will take this to my sewing machine and start sewing. So we do this before gathering. So we keep folding and keep sewing. So right now I've hemmed the lower part. So the next thing now is to take the fabric again to my sewing machine using the longest stitch to make a straight stitch here. So I will just take it right down here. Can you see that? Make sure it's like 1/4 inch because we left ½ inch seam allowance. So I will just make that? So the next thing is to start gathering it. So, and remember, after gathering, it should be the same as this length. Can you see? The measurement after gathering should match up with this. So right now I will keep gathering my fabric. So after gathering, this is what I have. Can you see that? So all I have to do now is to sew it together. Can you see? Everything matches up with the basic sleeve. So what I will do now is to turn it this way, right side facing each other, and then we will sew our sewing allowance we left. So I'll take it to the sewing machine again to sew in the. So right now I've attached the gathered fabric to the basic sleeve. So I will take it to the sewing machine. I just pin it down to make it easier. I will take it to the sewing machine and start sewing. Don't forget to back stitch, and then I will keep sewing all through. So right now, after sewing, this is what you have, and on the right side it will look like this. Can you see that was pretty easy? Can you see that? So all you have to do is to attach to your main fabric. Can you see that? So this is what you have. After giving it a good press, so this is what you have. So let's join it to our main fabric. So right now I've attached the shoulder of my fabric, that is the front and the back, and I've also finished the neckline with a bias strip. I already made a detailed video on how to finish your neckline. So the next thing now is to attach the sleeve to the main fabric. So what I will do is this. Remember, the front armhole is deeper than the back armhole. So also here you search for where the armhole is deeper, and that will go with the front armhole, and the normal one will be for the back armhole. So what I will do now is to attack, like this is the front armhole, this goes with this, and this goes with the back. So right side will be facing each other. Can you see that? So this is what I will have. So now this is how I will fix my sleeve. So going over it again, this is the front armhole on the sleeve. This is deeper, and this is deeper on the main fabric. So first of all, make sure this middle part matches with the shoulder point. Then you pin it down. So you pin it all through this way, and everything has to match. Then I will take to my sewing machine right now and just sew it all through. So right now, after attaching it, I had to pin it down. This is the midpoint. Everything has to match. I've already made a detailed video on how to attach sleeves. So I will take it to the sewing machine and start sewing. Back stitch. Both the midpoint matches at the shoulder point, so I will keep sewing. So looking at it here, can you see both matches, the bodice and the sleeve? If you follow the right sleeve, then I will back stitch. So right now, after sewing the sleeve, this is what I have. Can you see that? Everything matches so well. So I will show you on the right side. So on the right side, can you see this is the sleeve? So the next thing now is to attach the side panel. So what I will do is, remember, you will sew on the wrong side. So this is the sleeve here. So I left 1 inch seam allowance. Can you see everything matches? The gathers matches, the sleeve, the waist. Can you see that was the essence of notching? And then the hip. Can you see that? So right now I will take to the sewing machine and sew right from the sleeve down to the end of the dress. Make sure you follow the 1 inch allowance. If you know you are so good, just make sure you mark it with your tailor's chalk. stitches so well. And then I'll keep all through. So looking at it, can you see I sewed right from the sleeve to the waist hip all through? Can you see? The sleeve is well attached and so easy. So before fixing the other side, you will use the same method in which I used to do this to do the other side. But I will show you on the right side how this looks. So this is the right side of the dress. Can you see that was pretty easy? Can you see the sleeve is well attached? Can you see the gather? And everything is so firm. Can you see the waist hip? And that is just it. So you use the same principle for the other side, and then your dress is ready. Just give it a good press and rock it anyhow you like it. So if my video has been helpful, just give me a thumbs up and don't forget to tell your friends about it. You can also join us on Facebook Sewing Innovations. We are over 300,000 members there, and trust me, you will love it, and you will be glued to my channel too if you follow me diligently. So bye for now. I remain your girl, Peace.